Old Gold Club Christmas Special. Powered by Wolverhampton Building Supplies. With Mikey Burrows and Chris Iwelumo.
Welcome along to a special edition of the Old Gold Club. I'm Mikey Burrows. Alongside me, Chris Iwelumo. It's Christmas, so we've come on location to the home of our sponsors, Wolverhampton Building Supplies, to spread a bit of festive cheer. And joining us is a man who dedicated his entire career to the club and who gave us one of the greatest gifts of all, a promotion-sealing playoff final penalty save. Welcome to the Old Gold Club, Matt Murray.
Cheers, Mikey. Thank you for having me in. Cheers, Looms.
Looking resplendent in your Christmas jumper, which we have talked about on the podcast, which is going to be very long for this Christmas edition, but make sure you download that from the usual places. We're going to start right at the beginning of your Wolves career, 9 years old, and you are signed up by the club. Did you ever think at that time that Wolverhampton Wanderers would play a part in your life the way it has?
No, you never did. Dave Reed was an apprentice at Wolves at the time, and he used to coach my Sunday League team. Don Astle, massive Wolves fan, and his son Gaz played in the team. So my brother is a year older, even though he's 5'6" with dreadlocks. I'm 6'5" and bald. We're both adopted, so he's not my biological brother, but we were proper like Danny and Arnie, twins job. And so basically the only reason I played in goal was because if I wanted to be allowed to join in my brother's mates, I had to go in goal because no one would go in goal. So I played for the Cubs and I joined Lichfield, as I say, and Dave used to coach us. And I was playing, and Dave got some scouts to come down and watch, and they liked what they saw. So then when I gave them my date of birth, they were like, oh, he's actually a year younger than this age group, yet he's holding his own. So there was myself, Claudio Coleman from Lichfield, Danny Watt and Gaz Downey. And our parents used to share the lifts and drive us to East Park. And you could hear the speedway in the background and doing your stuff and go and train on. Probably reason why my knees are so bad now was on the AstroTurf that was just basically laid on some concrete. Go and train, do your thing. Rob Kelly then really kicked it on, who was a former player. But all you wanted to do was get through your 4-week trial and hope they keep you on, and then get schoolboy after schoolboy. And Rob really turned it round, and so Jack put a lot of money into the academy, and it started to kick on, people like Chris Evans and that. And then you play that game the first time, and you got a proper kit on. Proper kit. And I'm thinking, Stowley and that wear this. And it's got the Goodyear sponsor, and it's that dashy one and all that, and you're wearing it, you're playing against other centre of excellence. But as I say, every year you just wanted to try and get taken on. Steve Spittle, I was competing against. He was 6'4", voice had broken, this and that. I was a boy, keeper, squeeze, get up, and all that, and they're worried about my height. And because you can't look at your parents, you don't know how big you're going to be. So did I ever think that I'd play in the first team? No. But it was obviously, as it progressed, it became your dream. But my parents were very much, you have to do your education as well. But yeah, it's played a massive, massive part of my career and my life.
You said there that you went in goals because no one else went. So did you have a bit out? Because I started as a goalkeeper.
Okay.
So no one kind of knows that I started as a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
But I only, for the exact same reason, I only went in goals because no one else wanted to. Yeah. And I was allowed, I had the freedom to go out and run the ball out and even try and score goals as a goalkeeper. But did you have a bit as a outfield?
Yeah, well, do you know what? I grew up and I was, when I was young I was tall, and then about 10, 11 everyone started going past me. So when I used to play for the Cubs and for Beacon Park and the school, I played outfield. But I used to play on full-size pitches, and I was really good at cross-country. I was the quickest person in the whole Lichfield area doing all the running. So there wasn't much tactics, just put the ball over the top. I'd run as fast as I could, get it, and just smash it in, because there's some little kid in there in a full-size goal. So yeah. I remember scoring 9 goals a game, good few times. So I used to play up front as well. Yeah. But I joined Wolves, as I say, at the age of 9 as a goalkeeper, specialised in that position. So to say, did I have a bit? I wouldn't have been able to play for Wolves outfield or anything like that. But playing locally, then I could hold my own. But I wish now, because the pass-back rule still wasn't in then, but if you look now, you get encouraged the young goalkeepers to play outfield more, which I wish I'd done, which would have made me a lot more competent with my feet.
Because it's interesting that you were a goalkeeper and that Looms was a goalkeeper when you were younger, because when I was younger and you played football, you always stuck the kid in goal who was the most crazy, who was probably the bravest, but also the most crazy.
Well, it's funny that you said that because no, I wouldn't. I'm not crazy at all. That's obviously why I never
Brave.
made it. Yeah. I guess brave, but every goalkeeper I've came across in my career are crazy. You know that, and you're probably you have your little like psychotic moments. I think. You know, I know for a fact when I walked in, I knew you weighed me up straight away because you were like, you come up to me, you're going, oh, you know, like just, and that was, I don't know if that alpha male in you just was letting me know that this was your environment and it was your.
It's a unique position because you train often on your own with just a few of you, and you know that only one of you is going to play, and you don't wish ill on your mate, but you know really unless he gets injured, suspended, or has a real hard time, you're not going to get in. It's not like outfield players you can fill in other positions or get on for a few minutes here or there, but you have to be ready to play. If you're having a tough time and you got all the fans behind your goal singing dodgy keeper, it's difficult. When you're lacking confidence, it's difficult, or if you make a mistake early on. So you do have to have a different mentality. I remember as a young kid walking off crying because you'd have a really good game and then make that mistake, and it was horrible, and sometimes the nerves used to eat you up. They say we are a bit different. I'd still like to say I'm a bit more normal than most.
I've got to agree with that, but you said there about you're in direct competition with this, whatever keeper it may be, but the bond between yous is like no other. Like you know, like me, if it's with Sylv, with Vokes at the time, Andy Keogh at the time, yeah, he's got on, but he's in competition. You want to get in, but I've never seen a bond like the goalkeepers. Keems said the exact same. He says he'll be the first person to say, right, he'll be advising you, this can be better, work on this, I've seen this, because he'll give it from his outlook. Yeah. But still, he wants your place. Yeah. So how does that? I can't get my head around.
That's why I said we had fantastic coaches though. So
you put it down to the coaches then.
So Bobby and yourself as a mentality, but if you have people like Terry Connor, who creates that culture. And then Bobby Mims, who was unreal and got us to push each other, but also was still able to work on you all individually and look at you and find times and gauge that. So create the thing that no one wanted to be the first one to drop the ball. You all wanted to compete against each other, but you all had to support that person and realise coming closer to a Saturday than the one who was starting would dictate it. Now, Wayne and Carl had a closer rival because of their age difference. I'm 5 years, I know I don't look it, but I'm 5 years older than Keems. And, you know, so there was a bit of, I see him as my younger brother a little, you know, and he'd come in, and Keems, you could see unbelievable athleticism, attributes, saves, brilliant feet, but technically you could see he hadn't had loads and loads of coaching, but he was such a quick learner. But he was fantastic, he was awesome, and we looked up to each other. When we'd have a few drinks, sometimes I'd say to him, look, I'm so proud of what you've become, and he'd say, do you know what, you were, you know, a really good influence and positive. So it is what it is. You have to push each other, you have to guide each other, you pick bits up in training, because if the goalie coach has got his head down to serve, then he can't see some of the things you're doing wrong. But Stowley always helped me, Oaksy always helped me. So you learn off other people around you, you realise it's not personal. But I tell you what, when you got that shirt, there's nothing better than having other people who believe they should be a number one, because that keeps your standards so high. And I think that's why the first team at the moment is so strong, because everyone's pushing each other.
Do you think, though, that part of your view on that, on helping young players coming through, is somewhat related to the group of young players that you came through with, the standards that were set by the Robbie Keanes, Keith Andrews, Lee Naylors, Jolien Lescotts? That's a stellar group of young players that came through at the same time. Did that help shape the way you view how you're supposed to help people and the standards you're supposed to have?
Yeah, because when you're young, you can't waste a day. You can't waste a day training and all that. When you get older, so there have been days when you went over 30 and you probably thought, you know what, today I'm just going to do this, this and this, because you knew how to manage yourself to get yourself ready for a Saturday. When you're young, you've got to push yourself every day, and the whole levels of the group. So if we left our dressing room in an awful state, TC would, now that reflects on him, and that's disrespectful. It's not for the cleaners to go and do. It's you guys. That reflects on you guys. If you can't get your standards right off the pitch, you won't get them right on it. So it created this culture about being the best you could be in everything you do. So when you run, you hit the line and you come back. You know, you don't finish 2 yards short of the line. You do it right. You get in the maximum, you know, the best time you can. If you're in a gym and you got to do so many reps, you do it. If you got to be on time, you got to be on time. And this was the culture that was created and the standards, and you end up policing each other and pulling each other up. So I think that's why a lot of good players came through, but a lot of good people came through, which has then stood you in stead for later life. So why I believe I've gone on to be a coach, why I believe I can go and do the media work. And you see Jolien and Robbie and all those people out there, Keith, doing their thing because of the standards that were set. And you don't realise it at the time. Sometimes people are very, very harsh on you. And I speak to Terry Connor a lot, and I think I'm getting a little bit deep here, but I think TC sometimes, without knowing it, was harder on the black players because he knew what he'd gone through and he didn't want you to mess up that opportunity and do that thing, and he paved the way for us, and he always believed that we'd be the next generation and we could stand on his shoulders. He stood on, Cyril Regis' shoulders, Viv Anders' shoulders, and we had to stand on his shoulders. So he always hoped that we'd play in Wolves' first team and go and do whatever, but he wanted you to have a career. And so many people, Shane Tudor, Colin Larkin, JJ Melligan, went out and had very, very good careers because of the standards he put in. And yeah, so that's why I think, because the training and everything was right, was a reason for that.
So you think that mindset can be trained? Obviously, TC, we've had him on, and he noticed the quality of certain individuals. And like you say, I think he was quite fair, and I could never tell with TC who his favourites were because he was the same with everyone. Because that was the mindset he was in. But do you think that can be trained then? Okay, because I've played with some great players that have never quite made it, but they had everything.
Yeah,
they should have went a lot further in the game. So he's developed that. He's seen that in you. You've put like you've said there, you put a lot of credit to him there.
Ultimately, it's down to the player, but you have to use everything around you. So football is high pressure. Okay, it's a high pressure situation. Okay, there's a lot of demands. It comes thick. It's fast. Everybody wants your place. It's immediate. It's out there on social media. If you don't get high support, then it becomes high stress. So if you get high support, really, really good support, then that's when you get high performance. So TC made sure that everyone under him, whether you were the fitness coach, the physio, everyone developed under him.
Yep.
He developed himself. He was always getting qualifications. He'd come and run with us sometimes. He'd come to the gym with us. He led by example. And you knew how much he cared, so then you wanted to know how much he knew. And sometimes it'd be really, really hard on you. But you look back now and you think, right, that's why he did that before those situations. And you find yourself doing that. So, look, I think he was brilliant. He saw stuff in us. But if you showed him you had a mentality that you wanted to be the best you could be and get better, he'd work with you all day.
Yep.
If you didn't want to do that, eventually he'd go on to the people who did. And that's why I think that people like Jolien, we still chat about it, just mates driving, going, look, he did this, he did that, and we pass that knowledge on. And I know that Jolien would still ring him, even when he's won Premier Leagues, England things, England caps, for that reason. And yeah, so TC is a massive influence. Bobby Mims, unbelievable influence. Yep. And other pros you're around as well. But there's certain people that come into your life at the right time that believe in you, get the maximum out of you. And then ultimately you have to then tap into that.
Is that an underrated part of the game? And I guess the mental side of it. We talk a lot about the mental side of football and how it affects you in different ways. Obviously, as a goalkeeper, you had to be ready to get your chance, and you'd had a few opportunities on the bench, not played, and then all of a sudden, we fast forward almost because you've gone through a serious injury already in your career as a youngster.
Yeah. Cruciates, everything. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Michael Oakes gets injured in what is a big time for the football club, coming off the back of the disappointment of the failure of promotion under Dave Jones, and all of a sudden you are in and you are the focus.
Yeah, it's hard, really hard, because I'd had injuries, so you have to work with a psychologist. There's a guy called Tim O'Brien. People come into your life at the right time. Fantastic. Taught you, don't project. Don't start, if I make a mistake. Well, you can't fix that mistake because you haven't made it. So give yourself the best opportunity. Be the best you can be. Control the controllables. First thing you used to do, wake up in the morning, look out the window, is it raining? You can't control the weather. Peter Schmeichel can't control the weather. Just play the conditions. Do what you're going to do. So whenever a negative thought was coming in my mind, I'd say stop, and then replace it with positive. Do my affirmations. Watch pictures of myself doing things. So the coach had been unbelievable with me. I'd had it really hard. Dave Jones had given me some really, really tough love. Proper hammered me. Even pre-season, I'd turn up and there'd be everyone there. Literally, I swear, I think everybody. You probably had a trial at Wolves that last 2 seasons. Everyone did. And he's like, but I managed staying on the bench, did my thing, hadn't conceded a goal in pre-season, worked really, really hard in the summer, and I was ready. But he named the team. I thought Oaksy was going to do a fitness test on a Saturday morning. Just name the team. And the first time in it, was when your name, for a goalkeeper as well, it's unlikely you either come on because someone's been sent off and you're thrown into it. But when he named it, I remember when Jolien was named by Colin Lee to make his debut against Sheffield Wednesday. And when he named the team, and I felt then what all the other lads have felt, you can see all your young boys like Jolie and Keith and all that, Proudy, Nails looking at you, and the gaffer named the team. You're playing. Tomorrow you're playing. So he brought Ian Foyer in to sit on the bench. And that was it, man. I rang my stepdad, Wimbledon away. He came down, people came down to watch. But I was sick on the morning of the game. I was that nervous. I was picking the ball out of my net after about 3 or 4 minutes. But yeah, when the manager actually believes in you, as you say, you started at 9 years of age, and now you're making that next bit. It's amazing.
You know, because you'd got so close, you'd got on the bench, you'd went through the injury, coming back from an injury like that at such a young age as well.
Yeah.
It shows the mindset and the character of you. Does that make it even more so? You know, everyone's debut, it's an outstanding and it's an amazing day, but even more so that you've went through that past probably 18 months before.
Yeah, because when I was young, as I said to you, I just had a fry up. I just turn up, I just play football, just do what I did. I didn't understand about set pieces, line your wall up, really, all the technical stuff. I had the injuries, been on the bench, nearly made my debut at 16 a few times. I nearly made my debut against Stoke, and all I was bothered about was seeing Neville Southall because he was in goalie of Rendon. He was my hero. That's all I could think about. This was my mentality. But as I got older, then you've seen the other lads playing, and then you realise how much it means, and then you've had a goalie coach in Bobby Mims who sat you down and taught you about the game and TC, and you're coming towards the end of your 5-year contract. So you give him a 5-year contract at 17, longest one ever given to Wolves youth and all this stuff. You're thinking it's all plain sailing, but you've been through all these hard times. So to get through it, do the psychology, prove people wrong. Yeah, so it meant a lot more to me. But yeah, say when and then I came out of the team the next game, and then Oaksy he played Swansea, I think, in the cup, and then that was it. Then I played the whole rest of the season. Yeah, it was wicked, man. Best times.
Well, I mean, you talk about having the mental fortitude when you get to the end of the season and you're in a playoff final. I mean, just to achieve what that team achieved in the playoff semi-final, at least, to put some kind of ghost to rest, to be there. I've been down to the Millennium Stadium with you since we did a thing for your testimonial year. Your thoughts as you are in that game, because you spoke really movingly to me at the time about you were down the other end, you were at the Sheffield United end, so at the second half of that game. So you are looking at the rebirth of the football club.
Yeah, look, for me, it was crazy because I'd been at Wolves since the age of 9, so I'd seen us lose to Bolton in the playoffs. I'd seen us lose to Crystal Palace. The year that only one team went up automatically, we finished second. You know, Middlesbrough went up. There was all this heartache. I knew what it meant to Sir Jack because I'd been at the club and he loved the academy and he used to come and watch his floodlit games and everything. He's wicked, you know. So great times. You grow up in the area and you've grown up watching Bully and Stowley and Muchie and Tomo and all that, and fantastic players. So to know even how close we came the year before when we threw it away, but it was a different mentality going into the playoffs because the year before we felt we should have gone up automatic, so we weren't prepared for the playoffs. This time we knew we weren't going to go automatic, but we knew on our day we beat Newcastle and that in the FA Cup. We were on it. We were a good team. We'd already got in the playoffs with a few games to spare so people could rest up who needed to, and we were just on it. And nervous, yes, I was for Reading both games, and you can see that from my performance. I'm at fault for the first goal, then we come back, win 2-1. Second game started dodgy, then I grew into it and made a few saves. When Alex Ray scored that and you see all the fans celebrating, you know, right, okay, I think now when we're at Cardiff we can do it. But Darren Campbell, he probably won't remember it. He was mates with Nathan Blake. So we went down a couple of nights before. So we trained, but Darren Campbell ended up in our room. And the guys were chilling, having a few drinks, something. I just want to go to bed, I'm nervous. And then I ended up speaking to him. I said, big man, I'm nervous about tomorrow. He says, why? I said, well, it's his biggest game and I was projecting and worrying about all the things. He said, right, you haven't just arrived here. You haven't just been plonked in Millennium Stadium tomorrow to play in front of 70,000 people like you've never played in goal before. All that stuff you've done, back and forth, your parents rushing home from training, the heartache, the gym, all the stuff, has prepared you. He said, I stand on the Olympics and I'm going to run either 100 metres or 200 metres. And I've done 4 years training plus all the other stuff for maybe 10, 11 seconds or 20 seconds. If I false start, it's all over. He said, so think of the things going through my head. You've got 90 minutes to go and do your thing where you belong. This is your honestly, it was the most unbelievable thing. And I went to bed and I felt like my stepdad's dad was there. He'd just passed away. I felt he was there in the room as well. I used to call him Mr. Hale. Unbelievable. I thought, this is wicked, man. I'm feeling good. So I woke up the morning of the game, didn't feel the same nerves, excited, but I did the walk and all the guys were there and I thought, this is a dressing room I want to be in. We hadn't been to the stadium, we hadn't done anything. You looked around to a man and you saw Incy, Dennis, Jolie, and Nails, Butts, everybody. You thought, yeah, we got this, man. And we just, it's wicked, man. And I
just the names that you're saying there, all proper like leaders. They led by example. Any like superstitions for that day? I know that you are
routine.
Yeah,
routine.
Right, okay,
routine.
Take us through it.
Yeah, my routine was I like to eat the same food and with the right time.
Full English?
That got binned out the window. So load the night before, and then the morning of the game, I like to walk at the same time, do my stretching, but eat similar food, but the right timings before kick-off. Drink my stuff. I used to like to write down my affirmations. So I used to write down and visualize. So I own my box. This is my 18-yard box. Right. Everything I'm going to do. Not I won't make a mistake. No, I'm big, I'm strong, I'm dominant, I communicate well. And then I used to watch clips and listen to commentary of me doing things good and really. But I was proper. Mate, my head, and I had to and deal with it and just focus. And I'd start playing the game out already. So imagine the back four squeezing up. And when I used to room with Lee Naylor, you said in my sleep, I'd be shouting, "Nail, squeeze, get around," and all this. And like, not many people would room with me. Me and Michael Oakes roomed together once in pre-season. We put the shutters down because we were worried we ended up jumping off the balcony. That's how crazy we were. But so anyway, but yeah, so just did my normal routine and we did the walk, we did the stuff. Dave Jones just made us treat it like we were arriving at any other game. This is why we got here. Whereas Sheffield United had gone to the ground before and looked round, turned up at the stadium though, and it was red and white everywhere. Then we come around the corner, gold and black, and it's like, honestly, even the ones that were experienced, because loads of lads in that dressing room had already been promoted. You could just look around. Everyone was talking like, "We're doing it for these. We're doing it for everyone in this bus. We're doing it for these." And honestly, we were on it. There's no way. Man. That was our game all day.
Do you know what's funny though? It's like, because you've spoken a lot in the past about that playoff final, because it's in many respects
it's the only thing I ever did.
Well, no, this is the thing, because you are synonymous with that moment, with saving that penalty and everything, and yet when people will look at your career, actually, 2006-07, when you were PFA Fans Player of the Year, you were Wolves Player of the Year, you were the team got to the playoffs and you got injured on the eve of the semi-finals. Arguably, that was probably the best year of your career, wasn't it? And yet it gets forgotten to what happened in 2003.
Look, I'm blessed that I played in 2003 because it was the first promotion year. So I've spoke with Looms about this before. We got a lot of love. We didn't stay top of the league like Mick's team did. We didn't stay top of the league like Nuno's team did. But because we gave everyone an unbelievable day out and the Premier League for the first time, so many fans still stop me to this day, whether they were kids, whether they were whatever, best day of my life. I cried, I was this, I was that. So to have played with people that meant so much to me, to have had that moment that so many fans will look back with so much fondness, to do whatever it looked. If someone had told me at 9 years of age when I went down East Park, you're going to save a penalty in the final. Come on, you're going to dream of that. I was fortunate enough to get man of the match. It was nice. But I didn't think about any of that. You're just doing it as a game, but when it stops at the end, it's wicked. It takes you in. God, I missed the Premier League season. But when we got into the playoffs with Mick, it'd been carnage. Glenn Hoddle had gone. Near enough the whole dressing room had gone. I'm one of the most experienced players. We've gone away pre-season. It's Shayla Finyana, Jodie Craddock. Everyone else is kids. DJ, Litz. Everyone's young. They bring, people sign in right before the end of the season, right before the start of the season. So I think we're up favourites to go down. But Mick came in. Everyone played above and beyond. Everyone loved it. We kept evolving as a team. But yeah, we won a lot of games 1-0. Mimsy was unreal with me. Mick was unreal with me. I'd been out injured. I came back, and yeah, just from Plymouth away to wherever, and it just kicked off that season. And yeah, it was probably because the opposition fans vote for it. So the amount of times we went away and won 1-0 and make a few saves, yeah, it was nice. But we just had that wicked team spirit. It was amazing. And but I would say, yeah, that was my most influential season because I had a lot of saves to make, did a lot, and we didn't concede that many. I think I got Golden Glove that season. But because of the lads in front of me, we were just organised, we were drilled, and we played to the max. We all gave our all. And but that's when, yeah, and people, got linked with England and everything. And that's the bit that, when I did my cruise ship, I'd had a phone call literally the day after from my agent saying there's this Prem team, there's that Prem team. Not that I wanted to leave, and England were, Ray Clements was definitely down there. I know he was, and I was getting calls off England. So it is hard. It's hard because you think what might have been, but it is what it is.
Well, let's talk about that. Injuries, it's for a footballer, it's something that stops you doing from what you love. You've already said about, I guess, the mental things that you have to deal with, that you put yourself through when things are going great. So talk to me about the dark times. What gets you through?
You need good people around you. You need the club to be with you, back you, stay strong. When you get a bad injury and then they go and reward you with a new deal and say, right, don't worry about that bit, get fit, we believe in you, we believe in you're an asset to us, you're going to do that. You just have to get your head around it, you just have to do it. Sometimes you get somebody else who's got a serious injury, so George Elokobi, for example. You work in the gym together, but it's hard, there's a lonely place, and that's when you realise how much you love it. And that's when you have to see the psychologist as well, because you have no, it's like when you're playing, you do your gym, you train hard, and you got your Saturday. And that's where you get your adulation, where you do your thing, and you get your buzz. So that's when you can get in a lot of trouble. When you're working hard, you're doing your thing, and then you're looking for adulation somewhere else, gambling, drink. Do you know what I mean? And you got to stay and try and get around your focus of your family, good people around you, set short-term goals but long-term goals. But people like Steve Kent were brilliant with me, helped me. Psychologists just telling you life isn't fair. When you accept life isn't fair and you look at the guy who eats whatever he wants, does whatever and plays 50 games a season, never gets injured, never gets a tear, and you're thinking, hang on a minute, I'm a much better pro than you. I have my one cheat day a week, which was a Saturday after I'd played I'd have fish and chips or Chinese. The rest of the time, I ate so clean, didn't drink, did all that. Yeah, so when you accept that life isn't fair, you have to get your head around it, say, and look what matters to you, what have you got. And for me, my little princesses, man, they were when my mum's cooking. But my little princesses, they were just, honestly, as long as they were okay, I could deal with anything else. And they come and cuddle you and jump on you, and they were my world.
There's a lot gets says about depression and awareness. Is it? I've spoke openly about it. It's something I went through for a good few years, and you still battle with it here and there. But yourself?
Yeah, I've been in some very dark places, very, very dark places. It's not nice. And it's scary. I've never really spoken about it openly, so this is the first time I ever have. But yeah, I found it really, really difficult. Been through a lot of things in my life, and you have all the football, it's amazing, you do all the things, but yeah, it's with things off the pitch and everything else, and the structure and the routine that football gives you. I'd say I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky guy. I don't think it's really in my makeup, but we're all there, and something that can send you to breaking point, and that's where, I hope he doesn't mind me saying it, but you got people like Matt Perry, who's a club doctor at Wolves, who's just for me, one of the most unbelievable human beings in the world. He's unreal. So you got people like TC, you got people, and that's where you need your friends, your family, but you need people like the doc. And people give the PFA a lot of grief and this and that, but I still think they do a lot of really, really good stuff there, and there is help if you go out and find it. But yeah, you're 6'5", you're over 100 kilos, you do all your thing and this and that, but yeah, it doesn't matter. You can go into some dark places, and you have to first recognise that. And what I always say is, man up, be tough, be this, be that. But go and get the help. Go and do what you need to do. And you do come through the other side. But yeah, I've been in some pretty dark places, I'm not going to lie.
We will talk a little bit more about this, if you don't mind, on the podcast extra. Because we're going to talk about the retirement and what happened around that. We're going to finish off on our Facebook show as we generally do with the rundown. So it's fairly quick fire.
Quick, I can't do that.
Yeah. The best player you played with at Wolves?
Most influential has to be Joleon Lescott. So played with some fantastic players, but the one who affected the games in the most way, best pro he could be, unbelievable friend, unbelievable human being, Joleon Lescott.
Worst trainer at the club?
Ooh. Yeah, you just ready to do one. Yeah. Do you know what? He could be an unbelievable. A few could just be unbelievable trainers or shocking as well. So there's a few in this category: Paul Ince, Leon Clark, and Jay Bothroyd could be amazing, but Nathan Blake, but some days you might as well not be on your team.
Who was the biggest moaner?
Carl Henry. He look, Ledge, unbelievable guy, back you all day, but if a bee got in his bonnet, it certainly stung.
It did. Who was your best friend at Wolves?
Oh, I have loads of friends.
Yeah, you got. Yeah, come on, don't sit in the fence, big man.
All different times, but obviously Jolene Lee Naylor, Rob Edwards, people like that would be really, really close to speak to all the time. Speak to Keems a lot, so some very, very good friends forged for life. But any of those guys, really.
Robbie Keane.
Yeah, good time. Obviously, one of my best mates as well. My little girl's, godfather, I was his best man. Yeah, Keno as well. But he wasn't there that long with me. But yeah, Keno as well.
It was me. Best and worst dress sense.
Oh, best dressed Georgian Dar all day. Unbelievable, like a clothes horse. And then I always remember Stephen Hunt and Sylvan Ebanks Blake having that fashion walk off. Do you remember? Because they're both. But Hunty's gear. Or I think his dress. Some people got dressed in the dark. Some people have all different dress. Your dress senses said 80s, 90s. His was confused. That's the only way. That's the only way you could call Stephen Hunt confused.
Who was the funniest player that you played with?
Steve Sedgley, absolute joker, best banter, unreal, hilarious. Yeah, without a doubt, Steve Sedgley.
I think the TC said, didn't he? He said, Steve said, sometimes as a coach, you just had to wait for him to finish.
Yeah, he's the best, but probably can't repeat most of the stories on here. But
sure
Steve Sedgley, he was unreal.
Who was the best manager that you worked for?
Very fortunate to play under some very, very good managers in different ways, but the one, like I think, brought the best out of me and played my best football, expressed myself, has to be Mick McCarthy.
I love that this one's falling on me. It's so what is the best goal you scored or saw scored or had scored against you? The wee one through the legs, maybe? Big man or what?
Well, definitely there was this big guy who was playing for Colchester. He handballed it on the halfway line, ran through, smashed it from my legs.
Can I just get the picture up? Am I
you can't get it. It's just like that. So, yeah, we lost at Colchester away. Definite handball. Obviously, only ever scored one in the youth team, got disallowed for a foul on the keeper. Best goal scored against me.
Or you seen scored?
The best goal I ever seen scored at Molineux was Ruben Neves against Derby, which I commentated on. But
you're playing, man.
But when I was stood in the goal, last minute winner, Leeds away, Jay Bothroyd, absolutely miles out, spanked it in the stands. We won 1-0 on Sky. So, yeah, that has to be the best one.
Okay, just to finish off, because we're overrunning a touch, but hey, it's Christmas, so let's keep going. I'm going to combine these because I think they might be related. What was the best game you were involved in and your proudest moment at Wolves?
Yes, the best game involved has to be the playoff final, and being named man of the match in that final is my proudest moment. But beating West Brom that time 1-0 as well was special, especially after what they've done to us. But if I have to give you one game, Millennium Stadium, baby.
Well, okay, we're going to keep going on the Facebook show just to mention this game because a few of the lads around here have mentioned this already. Beating Albion, your performance in that game, how good was that day?
Wicked day, because we all froze and we didn't turn up, and it was men against boys away, and they beat us 3-0. Then we got done in the FA Cup and I was poor. We were all poor, just poor. So it was like we knew that we needed to cement our place in the playoffs. If we could beat them, big statement would do that. But also we'd let the fans down. It's embarrassing. So personally, I'd vowed to myself, I've never been so focused in my life. Sleep, eat, gym, preparing, affirmations. And I just honestly, and Mimsy spoke to me and I did my stuff. He worked with another sports Tim O'Brien was a psychologist, and I worked with a sports psychologist called Craig Mahoney, and I'd gone and seen him and done my stuff, face the fear, all that stuff, go out there, do it. And I just felt I was on it that day, and I sort of felt like I had a personal duel with Dimansi Kamara. Brilliant to win, 1-0. Jay Bothroyd came on, made Tom Ross eat his words because he was saying that Albion would be happy with his substitution. Yes. He spanked one in. But as a whole team, we just left it all out there. We all gave everything. It was nice to make that save at the end with my shoulder. Don't always try and make the perfect save, just keep it out. And then when our fans are all celebrating, and the Albion fans had left all those Tesco carrier bags on the seats the game before, and it's our fans giving it the easy clap. Wicked, man, and no one can take that away from us. And when you've been at Wolves since the age of 9, and you know that Albion have had the better of you more often than not, nice to play your little part again. So yeah, love that day, love that.
Fantastic. Much more to come from Matt Murray on our full podcast extra, which will be available to download from the usual places. From myself, Mikey Burrows, from Chris Iwelumo, and from Matt Murray as well, and everybody involved in the Old Gold Club, have a very Merry Christmas, and we'll see you in the new year.
The Old Gold Club Christmas Special. Powered by Wolverhampton Building Supplies. With Mikey Burrows and Chris Iwelumo.